It'd just be a regular Zoom.
I wanted to see something funny. That was cool.
Okay. I'm recording in progress, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're doing this without Barb, so doing some makeshift tech.
Good job, Ruby.
Thanks.
1, 2, 7.
Joni's
Right, Barb.
She said she couldn't come.
9.
Yeah.
Who else is missing? Supposed to be 10 of us.
Was nobody
Baron.
here, so I
Okay.
wanted.
I know, I mean, that would make 11, okay. Okay, what time is it? It is 10:20, so I'm gonna call it to order. Call it to order, so we're gonna review the minutes of the last meeting. Members present, called to order at 9:40. We reviewed and accepted the minutes from 4:25. Then we went through each application and discussed it and voted on it. All of you should have received an email with the memorandum that was sent to the clerk of the legislature. Anybody not receive it or have any questions about it? Okay. And then we adjourned at 11:03, just exactly 3 minutes late. So can I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Okay. One of the second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Both.
So, the second item, I would like to, a third item, I would actually like to. I went through my binder and the minutes from the July 26, 2024 meeting were never approved, so I'd like to do that now, unless anyone has an objection. There's a copy. The second page, there's a copy of the thing that I just handed to you guys.
July 26th.
Yes.
I understand.
We didn't have a meeting, and the next meeting we had, we omitted approving the minutes from the last meeting.
Got it.
That makes sense.
I understand.
So, the minutes basically were. They approved, they voted to elect a chairperson, which was Jocelyn at the time, voted to elect a secretary, which was Neil. We voted on the Hanovich application and it was approved 9-2, and then I don't know what time they adjourned. But does anyone have any problem accepting them as presented? They can have a motion to accept.
Motion again.
Thank you, and a second. All in favor of accepting as presented?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now back to the agenda. Okay, so everyone should have received a summary of the, I already said that, I think, the memorandum. So I'm just gonna summarize what went on in physical services, and if anyone would like to add anything that was at the meeting, they can do so after I finish. So at the physical services meeting, the chair, the committee voted to accept the memorandum and move forward the ones that we recommended. Additionally, there were 2 farms that asked to be heard. The lawyers for Rainmaker East spoke. The committee decided that they would put that one forward to the full edge as well. The representatives for Claracatonga spoke, and the committee voted to put that one forward to the full ledge as well. Part of their reasoning is that they don't want to get it wrong again. So they were being a little more lenient, so it was either nobody gets in, like a couple years ago, or let's be really lenient.
Mhm.
And they were made aware that they're setting a precedent, but they said, we're gonna do it this way anyway, and we'll deal with the fallout as it is. And in all fairness, I asked that I also explain why we didn't recommend the third farm, and they agreed that it shouldn't move forward. You guys anybody wanna say anything?
That was a.
No. No yield.
No, I think that was a pretty good
Size,
recap of how that happened. Maybe a little more contentious than I think.
and I don't really wanna go into that.
But it was, no, it was very much how that played out. They are certainly seemingly making an effort to be very, very, very lenient. So as not to have the issues they had last time. But you are right to note that there's now potentially a precedent set that they will have to reckon with on the backside of that. So we'll
Yes.
see how that plays out.
So I was gonna say, they recommended it to full legislature so that full legislature can have that input. I don't know that it necessarily will go that way.
Correct.
So I think that's just, I wanted to clarify that, like, it's not like, we're letting everybody, it might happen, but it's at least giving all legislators an ability to.
Vote on each applicant.
So they'll be voting individually as opposed to.
No idea.
Exactly, no idea. So. A legislator can say,
Right.
I
they can bring it
read
up.
it and I don't agree that this farm should be let in. And then they would probably have a discussion and a vote. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to stay away from politics.
Mhm.
Brett might have a more insight onto how that works. I just want to deal with agriculture.
Sure.
So I'm not really sure how it's gonna work.
I mean, the public hearing though, I think, is something that people can still obviously go. And
Yes.
even ag board members can go and go, no, pitchfork it if you want to.
And full disclosure, when they asked for public comments, I did raise my hand as a public person, not as the chairperson.
Mhm.
Regarding barn dog.
No, which one is Barn Dog?
That's the one that's almost built but will not be finished until the end of the summer, and they don't have any
That's the big.
horses, yes.
Yeah, I guess my question, this is more rhetorical. If they are then letting folks in that we as experts in this area have said no, yeah, what are the repercussions?
The repercussions are next year, it's gonna be more convoluted.
Yeah.
Rather than more straightforward as to
Right.
here are the requirements, because again, so Rainmaker, he's doing, as we discussed, I'll just recap it. He wants to do breeding. Breeding is more strict than a lesson barn or a boarding barn. But yet he's got no infrastructure.
Right.
Erin had suggested, because the lawyer said, well, they poured footings. Erin had suggested that we go and look at it again. And I said, then what's the point of having an inclusion period? The chair agreed with me, several people agreed with me, so that was not going forward. So exactly, so what they potentially don't want to happen is happening. They don't want people to say, well, here's my business plan, but I'm not gonna do anything for a while. Just let me in. And so those are the repercussions. And they're trying to, I have to give them credit, all the legislators credit. I think they're interested in learning for real, not just like, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
And they asked about some of the statutes and things like that. So I think they're interested in trying to get it right. I think it's gonna take about 3 years.
Well, if this is the like pendulum swinging the other way.
Spot on, I just was gonna say it out loud.
Well,
Yes,
we're an advisory board, we're supposed to look at things, make advice and send it on forth, so as long as we can, we feel that we're doing our job,
yes,
feel good about it and move on.
yes, but I wanted to give you guys a summary of
Yeah.
what happened, because many of you guys were at the meeting.
I wasn't able to go now. But one of the things that I would like to see happen is us to get a little more information legally on some of the things that we were kind of going back and forth about with Rainmaker specifically. And one of the smaller ones, in regards to the wording of if they have the business plan and they have the education and the means, supposedly they're supposed to be okay. So much can fall under that or not. So it's like, I want a little more hardcore, yeah, on that.
Well,
So
I'm
I,
working on.
yeah, so
getting-
and I think
finding
even the
this
county
stuff.
legal staff, I think there's Heather there, we may even be able to have her do a little looking.
I'm gonna say, they don't always interpret it. I'm not gonna use the word correctly. They don't always interpret it in the spirit of the law.
Well, I just wanna find the law. Like, let's find it and let's look at it.
Section 300.
I just feel like what I was reading was sounding like very open. And like if they've got the means, they, like Rainmaker, they got the means, they got the facilities, he's got a plan.
He doesn't have.
And then I was just like,
That's the point, he
well-
doesn't have anything,
well,
but.
I mean, not
but-
facilities, but he's got
So-
the
So he,
property.
as I said, breeding is even stricter than horse boarding. And he didn't have anything, so I understand your point, you wanted to make a comment?
I just wanted to say that, one, the meeting is on the first, so there is public comment.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should come. I felt, which I didn't have a vote that night, but I will next week, that we did ask legal the difference between startup versus someone who's not startup, and what's the difference? Because does that farm fall into the startup? Or do they fall into the other category?
Exactly, so if they wanna fall into a startup, you can't say, well, he's got the experience, so which one is it?
Right, and so I think I want that clarification, but I also feel that you need to be ready to go when your application's in, if you're not a startup, and not learn along the way, and I don't see the problem of try next year.
Exactly,
So that's how I,
so startup is vague, and as of yet, I have not found any strict definition, have you guys found any strict definition of startup? Cassandra?
Yeah, well, you've seen it's for like Christmas tree farms, there's like specific startup periods, but there's no definition of like number of trees.
Right.
Or, horses are always a very clear, I don't know as much as the breeding requirements, but like horses were clear, it had to be, what was it, 10 in calendar year. I don't know with breeding though, I think breeding is the
Exactly.
same, but
No,
I
it's
don't
not,
know.
it's not the same.
The piece that I read about more like crops and orchards and things is the establishment periods. I read that here last time.
Yes,
And so my interpretation of that is that, it takes X number of years for a fruit tree to fruit. And so it's impossible to have sales prior to your fruit tree fruiting. And so that was my interpretation of like why an orchard might be considered a startup.
exactly,
But
so
the
have
question
fruit
is how many
trees.
fruit trees makes an orchard?
I think the county picks, right?
So
And
exactly,
what,
it's
how many?
subjective, it's subjective.
Well, yeah, I think it's subjective, but I think that's also why you have people at this table who have experience, right? So that's,
By the county, I meant you guys.
okay. Not the guy, but yes. Right, like that's where people at the table can recognize if it's a startup farm or if it's not, right? And so I think that's where it's like, you have people at the table who
Have expertise,
have experience, right?
education, expertise and
Mhm.
experience. Okay, so I think that the meeting went well. I believe, as I said, that the legislators are becoming open to, I don't know what you're talking about, please explain it to me.
Okay.
And again, with the legal department. In one case, they said that someone's experience and education did not matter. And then in another case, they said it did. So I don't think they quite get it, the legal department. And if you want me to explain what I'm talking about, I will, okay. So, I think it was a fruitful meeting. It was a little contentious, what he was referring to was about, one of the farms that pleaded their case. And one of the legislators was, in my opinion, a little rude, but you can watch the meeting if you wanna find out that information. Anybody have any other questions about the summary of the physical services meeting, any more questions? Okay, so the Putnam County Country Fair and 4-H Showcase. We've been getting, over the past couple of years, it's been, oh yeah, you can have a table, oh no, you can't have a table. We are tasked in the state statute with education. And so that was the goal when we've had a table there. Does anyone have any ideas about whether or not we wanna do it? And I'm gonna have to say right away, probably Ruby, but definitely me. I'm not able to. I will be at the horse ring all day, both days. And you'll probably be significantly occupied elsewhere. Is there anyone else who would be interested in manning the table? It doesn't have to be all day. And do we wanna ask another agricultural organization to share a table, i.e. Grange or Farm Bureau? So that at least someone will be there to say, yeah, we have an ag board and here's where you can get more information.
Yeah, I mean, Farm Bureau already has a table going up, so that would be an easy combo.
Okay, I did it last year.
Yes,
What were you gonna
And
say?
I was promised to be some materials there, but then just stand by the table. It was shared with Irwin's associates and nobody else showed for the whole weekend. I was there for my 3 hours, no one else.
okay,
Yeah,
that's,
but if I don't know what to do, what we would do there. We don't have any literature.
We do have stuff that we made.
Yeah, but you know, again, is it still contentious about whether or
No.
not we're going to be able to
No.
to do outreach?
It's that-
And education, you know, we don't,
we're tasked in the statute,
okay,
I don't know if I could find it off the top of my head, I didn't highlight it. We're tasked in the statute with education.
mhm.
But is this, do we have enough?
But what do we have
Do we have
enough?
enough
Is
to
that
even
organized
have a
enough to
table,
go?
like somebody can
Well-
buy, oh, you're the ag board, okay.
Okay.
Well,
So we have,
I
yeah, we
mean-
have pamphlets or brochures that we can hand out, yeah, this summer, or you're saying? or
No,
probably
I mean,
still-
so the things I have the local food guide that I've essentially taken off the county. At this point, because they weren't doing it in the past few years, so I have new local food guides. You can team up with Farm Bureau, I think that they will have a table. But I do think there is a lot more public conversation happening about ag board.
Mhm.
And so I think if we wanted to take this opportunity to like. Maybe there's potential farmers who wanna put in an application and we can say, hey, we're gonna have a table, come talk to us. Or like, we have an Ask an MGB table, why not have a Ask a Farmer table?
but we need to man it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just saying, in the terms of like, what do we have for the table? I think there's plenty of things that could be there. And right now, there's so much public curiosity.
Right.
About the ag board that even just having a person there to discuss. Hey, this is the application. You know what I mean? Just to have a public
Right, here's the
space. would
application
be helpful.
period, if you have
Yeah.
questions, you should come into a meeting before the
Yeah.
application period. So
Yeah.
even if we just have someone, and again, it doesn't have to be all day, if you put your 3 hours in, thank you so much. Someone else can put another 3 hours in,
Mhm. Yeah, I'm doing some demos during the day, so I can schedule in a few hour slot if we need.
What day is it again?
the 26th and 27th.
It's only Saturday and Sunday, right?
Correct.
Correct. Sundays.
No, so Saturday is 10 to 7, and we don't, no one's gonna come to you at 10 o'clock in the
Right.
morning or 7 o'clock at night. And Sunday is 10 to 5.
I also have, I brought.
And, you know, we could also,
This year.
we could also solicit farmers that are in ag district. That are happy to talk about ag district in a good voice.
The issue, I think, if it comes down to like. A farmer coming asking very specific questions about what it takes to be in the ag district, I think that would get really messy.
Yes,
So having on the table, an example of the application the dates of the application period and a few other things are pretty, always really. I mean,
Correct.
other things are good, like your brochure and so forth, but without those things at the table, it seems useless to us.
I agree. Yes, Betsy?
Do we have the ad board plan? I know we talked about redoing
Okay.
it. Do we have the current one?
It's available.
Because that has a lot of information in it, and it's got great maps and that. I mean, I think.
Did they bind it for you here, or you had that done?
They must have done
This is
it
an
prior.
original that my wife got 15 years ago.
Oh, that's not a new one.
There's a new one, that's it?
You just said this.
2004.
Oh,
Is that 2004?
It probably,
I,
15 years ago, that's 20 years.
that's, yeah.
I had the same one, so they must have done it.
Okay, so it sounds like we could put together some materials, it's really just
Would
volunteering.
would Cornell be able to print out 2 copies? No. Okay, I'll ask Alana if she could print out 2 copies and I'll go to Staples and have it bound and we'll put it on the table. For the table, not for
I
people to
think
take.
that, yeah, just for the table, I think that's just, it really was an award-winning report, and I think it offers validation, even if it's old, you know, and the fact that.
It's actually current. It hasn't been it hasn't been updated.
It is the
Right.
one,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
but
it's-
there's probably information that needs to be
Yes, well,
updated.
that's
Oh,
how
yeah.
we can talk about
And do
that.
we have a list of the farms that are in the ag district?
Apparently it exists somewhere, but I don't know where, and I'll have to find out.
I think, you know, that's good information for the table, just to people familiarize themselves
You
with
know
the
that-
county and what's ag.
I know that there is a map, because when we did a tour last year, there was a map. Do you remember, were you with us on that tour?
Yes.
I
You know-
I have a copy of the access.
There is.
I'm sorry, 2 years.
I think that's a copy. It's the tour, and here's the,
And
no, it's the soil and water, yeah.
it's not the same one.
I don't think, no, soil and water is different than the adding that. I don't know.
I think this was the one.
But so for the fair, sounds like we wanna participate. And so we need to just figure out, who can actually represent.
I'm gonna be there on behalf of 2 other organizations, so I, you know, I suppose I can split my time.
Okay, so
2 or 3 others.
this was the map that we used. So these green spots are ag district.
I think that's very valuable,
Okay.
a good piece of information, as people are going by, you know, to take a look at
Right.
Putnam County here.
Well, there's somebody near me who has.
Through the chair,
Yes,
I've always wanted to, I've never once said that at a legislative meeting, I've always wanted to say that.
yes.
That map, what year is that from? Do you know?
It was a couple, 2 years ago. It 23.
Yeah, I was gonna say something.
It's 23, but the information on here is from 2019.
We have the GIS person here,
Yes,
so
Sophia's the CIS.
Oh, great.
so after the July 1st. After the July 1st meeting, if hopefully things.
Well, it doesn't work that way.
No, I know it has to go to the
Okay.
state, but I mean, there's 3 weeks, I don't know how long the state takes, but.
Longer than that.
Yeah, never mind. Well, but anyways, if it needs updating.
If I can definitely find a layer or make a new layer of updated farms and.
They have a layer.
Sorry.
They have a layer for it.
Okay, so could we get that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And printed it,
I'm sorry?
and printed.
Well, I'm sorry if I didn't make that.
And if you get a lot of
I
trouble,
can't print it.
print the dozen or something.
Yes.
'Cause
That'd be awesome.
And maybe someone can laminate them for us, or at least one or
a
two.
couple of them,
The county should laminate them.
They're not gonna do anything for us.
That's why
That's a trick.
Is
when we
there-
started meeting this year, we said we needed some kind of budget, and everybody,
Right.
no, we don't really need a budget, but we do need a budget, cause there's a lot of paperwork going around.
Well, so that's part of when we go into number 5, so
Okay,
we'll discuss that, so
We should have people sign up for time slot.
yes. All right, I'm just right, so we're gonna get a copy of the ag plan, copy of. You can supply some farm brochures.
the application info.
Everything laminated.
Yeah, it's less likely to walk away if it's got a lamination around it.
Or just who knows what the leather is.
Put a string on it.
Yeah.
An electric tape on it. Renaissance.
And if you really wanna have people come, have some sort of
Yeah,
Candy?
engaging.
yeah,
Tell me what engaging is.
Oh, I don't know.
Candy?
right, last year it was the cutout,
Right.
Okay,
and
that's
like,
urban.
The farmer cut out.
yeah, and you can come and hand your photo taken,
Yeah.
you could do, well. That was urban.
Urban,
Yeah, urban,
yeah, and he actually sent a paid employee to sit there for a while. Yeah,
Okay, I will,
So who has the
Email him.
cutout? Does Urban
Urban
have
does.
the cutout?
yes,
right, yeah,
I'll contact him.
yeah, volunteer that.
You can
Oh.
top it off.
Yeah.
It's for a picture,
Yeah.
photo op.
You stick your head in. But you're petting the sheep or the cow or something. Anything else about the fair that we wanna discuss? Now, I sent out, everyone's email contact, right? Everyone has this and phone numbers. So, you know, feel free to email each other, email everyone. Any ideas? We don't only have to speak once a month at the meetings. And you will be getting, I'll be sending out a chart with time slots. So whatever you can do, even if you can just do 1 hour, it's appreciated. Like I said, Ruby said she'll try and fill it in.
And you're gonna put us up with the farm board.
Yeah, do you wanna combine tables?
Yeah, I think
I'll
that
have
makes
to ask,
sense.
mention it to them, but they always struggle getting people there too, so. that's
So,
why I
okay.
Yeah, I think that
I
sounds.
think that's great. And they likely have a tent.
Yes.
Yeah,
do
that's a
something.
big deal.
I
It's always a hot thing.
know that they're discussing how
But
they're
I
calling a
think
tent.
Sounds good.
So we'll sign up for times over email.
yes. Okay, so. I have an extra one. This is the agenda, shows.
What do you need?
Nicole, you have
Sign in
the-
sheet?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
How'd you miss that?
Very much, that's it.
he was busy working.
Oh, you were.
Okay, so. Oh, wait, no, not that. I got the minutes for June 24th.
This, or this one, sign this.
Okay, there was a memo from Kevin Byrne. And in it, he mentioned that Erin had either looked into, as I was hoping she'd be here today. Either looked into or had found additional funding for the ag plan. Does anybody know anything about that?
This is separate from the grant.
Correct.
Or.
The grant is grant,
That's-
so we have to match the grant,
Right.
not specifically in cash.
Some of it is cash.
Yes, it has to be $10,000 in cash minimum, and the rest can be in kind. But the consultant is gonna be more than $60,000.
And so,
The consultant is the person who writes the plan under
I don't
our,
know it's more than 60,000.
because I asked
Who'd you ask?
Jeff,
Okay,
and he said that you're not gonna get anybody competent under that.
okay.
so the grant covers, sorry, the grant covers half of.
The grant covers, they will give us $50,000. But they won't give us $50,000 until we sign a contract with a consultant and a contract with them.
Mhm.
And then we get the money.
Okay.
And we have to supply $50,000, we have to match it.
Okay.
$10,000 in cash.
Mhm.
And then up to 40, or it could be more, but $40,000 in kind.
And so that's what Aaron potentially put.
I don't know, because Kevin didn't include, he didn't attach her memo to him. So apparently nobody knows anything about it then.
No, but the match is like my time, GIS time. Soil and water time.
Yes, I know that, but we
Yeah.
need cash.
Yeah, which I
Okay.
believe
The
is part of it.
consultant.
You're saying additional,
we're gonna need more than $10,000. If we want a consultant
sure,
who knows what they're doing, and so the state has to approve the consultant.
so I think it would be helpful to get a quote from 3 consultants. And then we know how much we need to have.
We already know how much, we know the minimum we need.
Yeah, but I think it would be helpful to have, what is the actual number that we're aiming for?
Yes,
Maybe I blacked out a little bit, but. With the last, I think it was fiscal service in the full legislature, wasn't it that $10,000 was approved, allocated and funded and you were allowed to apply for the grant with that? Didn't that happen?
yes, we have permission to apply and they have $10,000 cash.
Okay,
So-
so then it's just waiting on New York State and that grant
So
process, right?
yes and no. We're not gonna get a competent consultant. Come down here, because then there's nobody around here. To come here. For less than $60,000. And even that, even if the consultant. Does just the minimum, it's gonna be $60,000.
Is this a professionally stamped document? Or is this just a document by an environmental consultant?
There's
So-
certain criteria.
Yeah, you have to meet their criteria in order for them to accept you as the consultant and sign a contract with us.
And there are a few organizations there are, depending on. Basically, we can look at other counties' examples.
I was just gonna say, have we
Yeah.
actually looked at Dutchess, like for any contacts, and like Greg Pulver is a plethora of information.
Yeah,
And
I think Ulster is just either did theirs or is going through,
Yeah.
like renewing theirs, so we could talk to them.
yeah, and I think Essex has a really good plan, that I would certainly be curious who they used. And how much theirs cost. I think it's just like, I think we need to figure out what is the number that we're striving, I know the minimum.
I
But
understand,
if the answer is, $150,000 for the consultant, then like maybe we need to
no,
revisit.
it's,
You know what I mean?
I
But
know.
it's like,
I know what you mean, but the reason I'm just bringing up the number.
yeah,
The reason I'm bringing up the number is because. Erin wrote a memo to
Mhm.
Kevin with funding for farm protection plan.
mhm.
But he didn't attach the memo when he sent it out to,
Was it just about including it in the budget?
I don't know what it was about,
Yeah.
because Erin. Did you get that memo?
What was the memo went before it went to actually go to fiscal services, to then go to the full ledge?
No, not that
Actually
memo,
go
not that memo.
Separate, okay.
This
It's
is,
all around the same time.
that was in April, I believe. I know I wrote it down, but I can't find it now.
Well, it seems like we don't have the answers so much.
No, but it's part of,
and you're saying we got a copy of it at the time, or no?
so Kevin. I think Kevin sent it to everyone on the ad board.
Yeah, no, I remember
And
saying
said, thank you to legislator Crowley for moving forward with this and finding some money. But I don't know where she found the money in or how much. I don't have.
So, I mean, could we start like reaching out to consultants or asking for a list, I guess, from Jeff of recommended?
Yeah, we can do
folks
that.
and,
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
I was hoping that Erin would be here so she could tell us
yeah, talk more about that.
about, a little bit more about that.
Do you know anything about the previous author?
No,
I mean, yeah, I know. it's a long time
maybe,
ago,
I don't
but
know, is it written on there?
It is.
It should be in here, and I would think that she would be among those consultant of,
Well, it was 20 years ago, she might not.
it might be, but you know, I did a bunch of 45, so.
I don't know how old she was.
I think she was rather young. I was actually chairman.
Yeah.
Somebody said in the back, try that.
But no, it's right here.
Right there.
Technical assistance and consulting provided by community planning environmental associates.
In Bern, New York, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty standard. Report, this, there are certainly trusted consultants who. Do this.
And in case anyone was wondering. It's gonna be a minimum 2-year process.
Yep.
Okay, just so we know,
It would be what?
minimum 2-year process. The ag board is the steering committee. for this process.
Okay,
Do you
So-
dispute that or
Well, there's
is it a
a-
question?
yeah, there's a separate, maybe it's the steering committee, but then there's a separate committee that actually moves it forward. That does the
That does what?
input for it.
There's lots of people that input in this.
No, I know, but
I don't think.
continue reading your notes and then.
So once the thing is written, the ag board must endorse it and then it goes to the legislators.
Mhm.
But if we don't endorse it, it doesn't move forward.
Mhm.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
Is there a possibility that this is paid for and then doesn't get endorsed? Is that a possibility? I mean, in theory, I guess the answer.
Well, I think the point is that you're working with the
Right.
consultant.
Yeah, I think it would be a back and forth
Yeah.
thing until you get it to where everybody's happy.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
not like it'll show up one day and we won't know what's inside.
right, so that's why we're the steering committee.
Excellent.
Yeah, so when I spoke with Jeff, it's like there can be we appoint basically different stakeholders. And those are the stakeholders that put together the plan.
Yes, but we're still the steering committee, which
Sure.
means we as the ag board, we don't have to go out and do the research for whatever questions
Mhm.
the consultant has. The consultant and the stakeholders come to us and say, we want to include this in the ag plan, and we say, oh yeah, good idea, we say, no, it has nothing to do with ag. That's our role as steering committee.
Sure.
Okay.
And the steering committee, is it just ag board members or can also legislators participate? I'm just
Okay.
wondering like to get the buy-in.
Yes, so. Let me go in order, thank you. But yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we must hire a qualified consultant that the state approves of. So town halls with farmers and or public. Hearings, discussions are encouraged to include a robust engagement with the public. We must have a robust engagement with the public in order for the state to approve it.
Right.
So if we just sit here and go hee, it's not gonna be approved.
Yep.
We don't need to include it. Right, so obviously the consultant will do a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, I don't know what the other two stand for.
Opportunities and threats.
Thank you. And Jeff said, as we get closer to, so the application, which is pretty straightforward for the grant, is not out yet. And then as we get closer, he's happy to either come down and talk to us and talk to us about the timing, what steps, how you should take the steps. And guide us that way. He's happy to do that. The application is in the fall. They're not sure when yet. I'm sorry, Nicole, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I guess, I was just wondering about, well, right, so there's the public engagement, but then. Right, we put together, or the steering committee puts together this plan and then we have to pass it to the legislator, right, and then they actually like approve the plan, is that?
Yes.
So your question was, who's on the steering committee? Is it only ag board or are there legislators that brought in?
Yes.
Is that what you?
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
original.
so the steering committee is only members of the ag board. We have one legislator appointed to the ag board. So
Right,
that
okay.
legislator, and that legislator is free to go to their meetings and say, what do you guys think? And bring that stuff back to us. You know, it's not a closed conversation.
Yeah.
We need to prove robust public engagement in order for us to eventually have them approve the plan.
Right, yeah, so I guess, so.
It
my
sounds like
question is-
what's happening is that the ag board in this particular process of the site, the protection plan is the steering committee.
Correct.
Correct.
Or, yeah, but I guess not
We're the
everyone's-
steering committee, so we just steer, literally, we steer what we want the consultant to, and the people working with the consultant, we steer as to how we think this should go for our county.
Right,
Everyone who lives in the county is invited to have their say through a series of town hall
Conversations.
public engagements, write letters, take out ads, however we wanna do it.
Okay.
But the important thing was that we're not, so the ag board's job is not to oh, let me go look up how many thousands of bushels of corn were produced.
Right, that's why we
in Putnam.
hire a consultant.
Correct, and then she will go and say, oh, this person would know that information, so let me get it from them.
I'm not 100% sure that the ag board is the steering committee. I think we appoint people.
Okay, I
And
got it
pull in
from Jeff
different-
yesterday,
Yeah, pull in different people with different.
but not for the steering committee.
Okay, but then there's a subcommittee or whatever you want to call it.
Well, stakeholders, there's.
Yeah, it's right,
But
it's
it's
not,
like they create, it wouldn't just be like, this is the public comment stakeholders, like I think there is a identified group of stakeholders who are running that show.
so the ag board can invite underserved areas of agriculture, i.e. beekeepers, agritourism, somebody who's growing some,
Specialty crop.
right, specialty crop to contribute, so they can contribute,
Yeah,
but the ag board is the steering committee.
I'm not 100% sure.
I
We'll
got it
follow.
from Jeff yesterday,
I know,
okay.
that was not my understanding when I talked to him about it, so.
So he recommends that 5 of the most important ag towns, and that's subjective, perform a farm-friendly analysis. And the plan, I haven't looked at this, but apparently a plan is supposed to culminate in a list of 50 to 100 recommendations, meaning, we believe Putnam County should do this, we believe Putnam County should stop doing this. So both ways. The county does not lead this.
Mhm.
Sorry, legislators.
Yeah, final approval,
Right.
so, yeah.
After us, we have to
Right,
approve it
but
first.
final approval is final approval, you know, if you don't get if you don't do it by the way, I'm not stamping it, I mean, that can happen.
So when we were talking about funding, he had said that other counties, they basically, I don't really know how the politics of this works. Other counties have different departments that contribute like $1,000 per fiscal cycle, I don't know what that means, to our cash, so like, let's pretend what is your thing called, real property? I always wanna say real estate, I know it's not real. So like real property says, oh, we could squeeze out $750. And the planning department says, I can find you $1,000 in my budget that I can give you, and then I don't know the other departments. In this, in the county,
And that's supposed to make up
that's supposed to help
in addition.
in addition to the 10,000.
Right,
That's what he said other counties do,
yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
But I think that's where the
They
like,
got
what
me
is the
so
number that
tight
we're
over
trying to
there.
reach?
But
Yeah, so every little dollar counts.
Right, but then, yes, I think we just need to know how much.
Yes, I know, but I would rather, as a business person, I would rather have too much and give it back to you than not have enough and like, oh crap, where are we gonna get the extra grand that we need to pay this consultant?
Sure, so that brings up the other question of, do we have a treasurer? Who's
Right.
running the finances of it?
Nobody knows.
Okay,
Let's make up a
Oh,
rule.
so we can, yeah,
Let's
So,
make
yeah.
up a rule, and we're gonna say that every department has to give us $100.
oh, no, I guess in terms of like, right, the person, right, would it be?
We can't even get money from any department so that we can laminate things.
Okay, how is it, do you remember how it was done in 2004?
I do know that at some point Lori had a small budget.
Yes, cause I attended some of those
Right, and I
dollars,
think it was like $145.
but where do you know where we got the money from?
I think I know.
Well-
I think it was from Soil and Water.
Yeah, but that makes sense to me. I think the question that I'm trying to ask is like, okay, if we're going out and asking different departments for money, where are they sending the money to?
Right.
Like, whose account?
They
You know what I
can
mean?
send it to me.
Just a question for whoever wants to find out the answer.
But so finding out the answer is a good idea, but who do we start to ask to find out the answer?
Well, when we get the grant, who actually receives the grant? Does the grant go to the county on behalf of us?
Yeah.
It would seem that the county might
Do you know? Right, you have a question?
have to do
You
that.
have
Right.
contribution?
Is Barb the one who's submitting that?
Yeah, actually it is Barb, so it might be planning.
Right, if Barb's the one who's putting together the grant application, I guess we should ask her, but I would assume, would it yet go to her department or?
And then it's a line item for us.
Right, I don't
Right.
know.
I think that was part of the discussion when Barb brought it up a year ago, is that it was the county would be, the planning department. This is part of the planning department of the county.
Okay,
And then the ag board is, you know, we do the part that we do, but planning does plans. And that was, I think, as I recall, planning says, this is what we do.
okay.
You don't have to do all this because the planning department does this for all the departments. I believe that's what was.
Does what, does that?
Does this.
No, yes,
Does
she
make
said that,
plan.
she said that. But that's not correct, she doesn't write that.
No, she doesn't write
No.
it, but they're involved in plans. So she said, our department will help guide the ag board through part of this process. I recall that as being part of the discussion.
Yeah, just wondering
We
if
don't
they
have
would
to be
have-
an expert in planning to start with, because we have a planning department.
Right, and there'd be a rep from the planning department on that steering committee,
That's
so
right.
help with the process, so I guess in terms of like the, where the grant monies would come into, maybe it's.
Yeah,
So we're gonna move this
Line item.
That's
Yeah.
not possible.
Okay.
So, Brett, did you want to say something?
Well, yeah, not as nuanced as all that, but cause all money transfers, all budgetary items have to go through the legislature.
In this county, that's.
For the county charter,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. So, and I know, we were just discussing that at some point there was money allocated for the ag board in the budget that. No one seems to kind of know where that went or what's going on with it. But Erin seems to be, since she's the liaison to the board, I would imagine Erin's gotta have some type of answer as to how this board gets money, where it goes, who. Or at least can find the answer, it's gotta,
Okay. So liaison in that she's supposed to share with the board, with the legislators, not liaison as in. If we wanna speak to a board member or we wanna get information to a board member, we have to go through her, so.
No, I mean, I
Okay,
didn't- in
so
terms
but
of-
so,
Being a ledge member,
sorry,
if we wanna get a message to the ledge
what did I say?
board.
Sorry.
No, I just wanna make sure.
Thank you, I
everybody
appreciate it.
follows you.
So she had said, I asked her for something, I asked her for a resolution, if she could find the resolution, cause I couldn't find it online.
Okay,
And she said, I'm not your secretary. So I don't know, we could ask her and we could see what her response is.
yeah, or, this is a great thing to maybe have someone from the board come to the July 1st meeting during public comment and ask. About this, I mean, the ag board and ag district stuff is going to be on the agenda,
Right.
therefore. It is able to be discussed under public comment at the end of the full meeting on July 1st. So I do think it's worthy, if this board is not getting the answers it needs to get regarding its own funding and potential funding. Go direct to the source of the legislature, they're the ones that approve or disapprove. And bring it up under public comment on July 1st.
It seems like we just need, but
Yeah, could we just ask Erin first?
Yes.
I guess I don't,
Yeah.
I've actually asked her, so, I mean, maybe if we.
or Barb.
Or Barb, if we ask one of them and then there's
Yeah.
Yes.
pushback, then we could.
I think there are answers, we just haven't found them.
Yeah,
We don't know the right person to ask, so we'll just ask everyone.
yeah, I
So
think
that's a fair point, that when we do have questions we don't know. We bring it up at the ledge meetings and they should know the answer, cause that's kind of their job, right?
Anything budget related it has to go through the legislature, it's without question, there's no exception.
And then that way it's on the record,
Except for some.
Yes,
and then somebody has to address it.
yeah, that's awesome.
Same.
County should not leave, continues to be land to consultant.
So I guess the question,
Okay.
as the next step with this, is finding out. I think most likely from Barb. Who's fiscally responsible? And secondly, who's gonna go and for some quotes from consultants? Just trying to give us hard.
Yep.
Here are action items.
and Jeff didn't provide a list of consultants, he was just saying like it's probably gonna be, or minimum 60 grand.
Yes, cause he was talking about consultants, I was the one who brought up money, I was like, how much is this gonna cost? He's like, hopefully just 60, but probably not.
More. Yeah.
And that's when he said to me that other counties ask their departments to contribute something.
Yeah, we need to find a firm, I guess that would, yeah, to like do this for us first.
I think the number that was mentioned a year or so ago was double that,
So what,
double the 60. It's in the hundreds.
for a consultant?
To
Can we
get
find
the
it?
plan, the total on the plan was gonna cost.
Well, cause I think it's 100 in total and 50 of that is cash and 50.
Could be, but that's not a surprising number that's according to the past discussions.
Right, so that's with the 40 in kind.
Well, whatever.
So
The fact that it's a lot of money is not there's no new information there.
Do we have to like vet a certain amount of consultants? Like, is there like a legal requirement? We like talk.
I know county, you have to get 3, but I don't know if we fall under that umbrella.
I would think
I
that's
think we
like,
should anyway, yeah. I'm happy to reach out to consultants.
I'll check with Greg Pulver and see
Okay.
if he has any thoughts on it.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Just make sure I didn't miss anything on my notes. So he recommended that 5 of the most important ag towns have a farm-friendly analysis.
Mhm.
I don't know who determines who is important ag towns,
I think consultant,
okay,
but we only have 6.
we only have 6. Oh, townships, but no, he didn't make it sound like it was a township. More of Brewster versus Carmel, like Carmel proper, which we know they don't have any,
Yeah, I think
versus,
they did that last time, it's.
you read that?
Yeah.
You're so good. You're so good.
When Jocelyn and I tried doing this the
Yes.
first time, we went through it already
And make
and made
recommendations.
notes on all of them. Yes, there is a farm friendly town part of this plan.
And town means townships.
I mean, I don't.
You don't know.
I bet you it does, because we are a
Right.
tiny county compared to most.
So we only have, what
So
is this?
we have 6, and so
Right, that's what I'm
forget,
saying.
maybe forget Phillipstown and just, Patterson's got some.
Phillipstown?
Well, I just mean the odds of them having.
But I think that's where we make it county, we make it applicable to our county.
Yes, we do.
So. I think it's fine.
Okay, that's fine. I
Yeah,
assume something different.
but I think that's where the consultant who has done this for other counties. Knows what they're expected to do.
Yes, that's what he said too. He said these consultants, that's what they do.
Right.
They're happy to give you direction if you are stuck or don't know what you want, if you don't know what you want. That's what you're paying them for.
Yeah.
So it's not like we have to reinvent the wheel again.
No.
So there's like some steps we can take now, and then it's in the fall at some point, it'll be.
In the fall is the application, which he said is pretty straightforward. It's not like a regular grant where you have to make up stuff and do essays.
Yeah, okay, so he'll announce that.
It's more of an application than
Yeah.
writing a grant, he said.
Okay.
He said it's very straightforward and we qualify, we just have to fill out it properly.
Yeah.
Barbara does a lot of grant writing, actually, so. Handle an application pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. We just need to first. Anything else?
I don't have anything else. Is there anything anyone else would like to say?
I have no items of business.
I was just going.
Go ahead, Lydia.
We're getting close, so let's.
I don't want the resolution to follow off our conversation? I know we're waiting.
The response to resolution 139.
Well, I think we were discussing making changes. Yes.
Okay.
So I know that we were waiting for the decision to come out.
No, I'm a little confused as to what you mean. We don't write the resolution. You want us to make a recommendation to the,
Well, I just want to make sure that that conversation is still happening and not totally settled.
okay, wouldn't that be Erin's purview? I don't know.
I don't know, I just know that we've talked about it and we were not allowed to talk about it, so I just wanted to bring it back up.
Yeah,
Resolution 30.
139.
the soils thing.
Mm-hmm. Amongst other things.
It had
Yeah.
a lot of restrictions onto why you can't include a farm into ag district if it doesn't satisfy half a dozen restrictions.
So the soils got addressed, but there are other things that at least should be discussed.
So it's like putting
Is that
on the
something
agenda
that-
for next time, a
Yeah,
discussion.
suggested,
on that.
like,
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Because everything, this is.
Yeah, put it on the agenda for next time.
Yeah, okay. So, I'm gonna present a scenario and you guys tell me if this sounds right. So we discuss what we think it should say. And then we write a memorandum and send it over to physical services and ask them to put it on their agenda. Is that how this works? Okay. Huh, I do know how. Is it quick or quick?
Well, no, I have something to say, I don't know how quick it is.
Okay.
One is I like to see on the agenda other business listed, so that it doesn't go to adjourn without asking for something else.
Okay,
The other thing is, I would like to suggest a change of schedule for November and December of this year. Maybe for November 19, because that's a week that doesn't interfere with Thanksgiving. And December 17, because we have two holidays that are on Wednesday, we got New Year's Eve and Christmas. And December 17th is a week before the holidays. So if we have enough notice, maybe, I'm just suggesting those, maybe those would work better if we need a meeting. Because the weeks after that, we're not gonna get people showing up.
right.
That's a good suggestion.
Okay, let me look at my schedule and then.
But I'll
we can vote
propose
on
that
it.
thing so that we can maybe pencil it in, see what works for, because otherwise we're gonna be stuck without having a meeting.
What were the dates you were suggesting?
I'm suggesting November 19 and December 17. They're still Wednesdays, but they'll be before the holidays. And that can, if there's a conflict, we can make it Tuesday, whatever. But I also like to coordinate that because many people here also go to soil and water, and we need soil and water those months also, and that would just make it easier for those that come all across the county. Without doing it twice. The other thing I'd like to remind the board of is that we have to continue to work on the bylaws, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we haven't just, and it didn't come up this month, so I wanted to bring it up. We can talk about some changes and that's an ongoing discussion, and as soon as the more we discuss it, the quicker we get to a conclusion on that. We put it off again. That's kind of.
Okay, anyone wanna make a motion to adjourn, please?
Oh, sorry, I have one other thing, I guess
Oh.
for schedule related, I feel like we usually skip like the August meeting, I guess I'm wondering if we're gonna have any like. If we're gonna be meeting in July and August,
We're gonna be meeting in July. And
and at that point, we. maybe it's-
depending upon, in my opinion, depending upon what happens next. On the first, I don't know what day it is next week, it's Tuesday, depending upon what happens next Tuesday would be whether or not we need to meet in August. Okay, is that okay with everyone? And if we don't,
And we'll know that because we are meeting on July 30th.
right. Is that okay with everyone? We'll figure that out.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine, I was just thinking like in terms of, I only meet once a month, there are only a handful.
When are you getting
of meetings
married?
left. So end of September, so.
Well, we're having a
we won't be
meeting.
there.
We're having a meeting end of September.
Yeah, will not be.
What time of day is that July 1st meeting?
7.
7 PM, yeah, I'm out of town.
for the.
I think.
Okay, can we do motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carried, it's fine, it's 11:18. Thank you.
You have your remarks, copy still?
I did visually.
Oh,
You know, run in Google Doc.
that's good. I'm still at a loss for what this shared document thing is.
Public hearing.
You don't need to anymore.
Yes. Okay.
I mean,
Don't
maybe at
remember
some point, but that's where all the applications
That's also. Which one? That-
Yeah, the bylaws.
The bylaws thing.
Yeah, and there's a, yeah, I guess I'm not quite sure how. This is someone who's supposed to help you with that.
The,
Okay.